Hey everybody, Jason Sherman here. In today's episode of Zero to CEO, I speak to Nelson Nigel. He's the founder and CEO of Kidmoto Technology. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, Jason. Thank you.
No,
Appreciate it.
no problem. And before we get started on how you built Kidmoto from the ground up, that's the name of this episode, Building Kidmoto from the Ground
Okay.
Up.
Fabulous.
Before you started the company, I want to know, and what everybody always wants to know is, how did you bootstrap it? Because like we can talk about the success you're having and all the great things you're doing, but how did you get from point A to point B? What was like the first moment?
You got to be relentless, man. You got well, you just have you have to be relentless, Jason, and you have to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Where there's a will, there's a way. And lo and behold, we're in 52 cities now. I started with like 500, $600, something like that. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, forget about it.
Yeah, but there was a moment when you didn't have that many cities, where you were just like a startup with like no cities. You know, that's the hardest part, right? Like everybody builds a startup, everybody's got an idea, they try to build it, but then they can't get users, they can't get funding, they can't get customers. How did you attack those aspects of it?
I just kept going. You have to be relentless. You just have to be relentless. Uh, Yeah, no plan B. How's that? No plan B. Because if there's a plan B and there's a plan B, there's a fallback. There's no plan B. Arnold Schwarzenegger said it. No plan B.
Yeah, but, everyone
Yeah.
could be relentless and still not get their first 1,000 users. So what was like your user acquisition strategy? Like what helped you get that first 1,000 users? That's hard.
Uh,
It's not easy.
yeah, that it is hard. You have to be relentless. You have to. I used to work. Literally, my schedule is. I used to wake up at 3:45, be in office at 4:15, work until like 4 p.m. Go drive Uber. Come home at like 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night. Back at it again. 3:45, 7 days a week, day in and day out, day in day out, right? And uh, then it was like 4:15 to like 11:30 at night, 4:15 to 12 midnight every night. So first one in, last one out, Jason. And how did I do it? I just had to figure out how to reach the target market. So I figured out who the consumer base was and how do you reach them? How do you reach them? And when you're putting in all these hours, 16 hours, 18 hours, 20 hours a day, you're going to eventually try a lot of different methods, try a lot of things. Uh, and sometimes some stick and some don't, but you have to try. So
Were you doing a lot of like A/B testing? Were you running video ads? Were you running image ads? Were you using Meta, Google? Like what kind of methods worked best? Like what did you try, and then what did you find that worked best? Because that's what everybody always asks me.
we tried everything. I think there's like 45 different types of digital marketing methods, right? Whether it's, social media. Within social media, there is Facebook, Instagram, Google, etc. Or there is content marketing. Okay, you have image marketing, you have video marketing, you have uh, etc. You will have like SEO or SEM or uh, all of backlink. So you would just try different methods. We have to figure out. It starts with like who is your consumer,
Hmm.
right? So you gotta be fishing where the fish are swimming, bro.
That's true. If you're going to a swamp, you're not going to catch any fish. So, all right. Well,
Well, you're not gonna catch I don't know,
you might get a
white bass.
crocodile. You might get bit
Yeah.
by a crocodile, right? So talking about the consumers and like the target market, you had to identify a gap in the market, and in your case, you had this like life-threatening accident, which led
Yeah.
you to identify a critical gap in the transportation services for parents, and talk about that story. Like, what was the accident? What happened? And then how did you identify the gap after that? What was the whole story?
Okay, well, it's two different things. I was hit by a train, right? So I was,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, I was hit by a moving express train in New York City, and uh, that was a it. I don't know, man. I can't remember my childhood. It was just a big ordeal. I don't use it as an excuse. I never did. I never thought about it as an excuse because I'm not an excuse giving type of person. But it was, yeah, I wasn't going for 13 days. I almost lost my, I was like, they almost pulled the plug. Uh, but forget about it. We just have to move on. Now, there's no excuses. Nobody cares about you, right? So,
Yeah, I care.
regarding,
I care about you, man. I'm glad you're alive and talking to me right
thank you,
now.
thank you. Uh, but now regarding seeing this need in the market, I drove a yellow cab, which, by the way, is probably the greatest job ever I've had. It's like one of the best jobs ever, right? And
Taxi drivers classic, man. You get all the stories from people.
all the stories, and it's just like meeting great people. I just love people, right? Um, and uh, I saw the need when I was driving a yellow New York City yellow taxi, and I also saw a need when I was driving for Uber. Forget about it. So it was a big need. It's like, and then I drove.
What exactly did you find? Like, what was the moment where you're like, oh, here's the gap? What was that moment like, and what did you figure out?
Okay, there wasn't that moment.
It was. Um, I always seen it, but I never thought, okay, well, there's a market for it. I never thought about it on the spot.
What did you
It was
see?
it was just an experience, and then I uh like in 2016, 17, I saw I was in government procurement, so I lost a couple of contracts, and I said, well, there's a market for this. Let's move in it, right? And I'm that type of person. I'm very impulsive. Say, okay, bang. There's a market for this. Let's go it. This is a scalable model. Let's do it. And that's because I realized that the entire industry did not cater to parents of small children. Nobody really wanted to get involved with that. Not even Uber. So I said, you know what? There's a market for this.
Hmm.
Let's try this. And part of my experience as an entrepreneur is you gotta go. 70% of success is showing up.
Yeah.
You're gonna like when Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I took the shot. I'm accustomed to taking shots and missing. Who cares if you miss?
Right.
Forget about it. It's like that's it.
So you said you witnessed an experience. What was the experience that you witnessed that really kind of was a catalyst for the gap that you found? Because that's what I'm interested in. Is it wasn't a problem you identified. You said no, there was no moment. So, but there was an experience. What was that like? Because this is
Yes,
this is a very valuable lesson and teachable moment for people. Is that
it's
you don't always find a gap in the market. You don't always see a problem, but you experience something and you say, "Oh, this could be much better," or "I could help these people in a different way." What was that like?
yes, and that's because I drove and I experienced, not wanting to drive parents of children, right? And I experienced Uber or other black transportation companies not providing the child car seats or providing inadequate car seats,
Interesting.
and that experience uh showed me the market and and I said to myself, because of that, there is a tremendous gap in the market for traveling parents with children.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Because
There must have been some challenges there, though, right? Because now you're tapping into like the children's market, but also the parents' market, and like,
yes,
are there some like maybe some legal aspects to that? What did you find when you started to actually build the company?
everything. I fell down like 45,000 times. But again, you have
You
to
got
you
back
you
up
have to
again.
try it. You fall down 7 times, you stand up 8. So you just have to keep trying, keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting. And you can't be afraid of failure. You make a mistake, so what? Forget about it, right? And but you have to put in the time and the hours to figure out where you make these mistakes, and you have to learn from them. You just can't keep making the same mistakes over and over and
Well,
over again. No,
give us a big mistake you made that you learned from that other people can avoid.
a big mistake is not studying, not preparing, right? So preparation is always key, and always key. So you always want to prepare because it's key. Not preparing to apply for a loan, not preparing for uh, I don't know,
for uh, not
I mean,
preparing a business plan, not preparing just a lot of preparation
so
for a
you're
lot of
talking
things.
about like doing a lot of the prep work before you start a business, do your research, create some documentation to support your ideas, maybe come up with
Yes,
do some research of the industry you're about to jump into, maybe
absolutely.
analyze your competitors. There's probably a lot of different things you can
A
do
lot.
to see. And you're saying that people just jump in and don't even do any of that stuff, and that's a big mistake. I would agree with you. I think a lot of people do that. Now,
A lot. Yeah,
one of the things that I really like to do in my startups is drive my decisions based on data.
exactly.
Is this something that you also do? And if so, how has data made it easier for you to make decisions?
All the time.
And you have to document everything. So I'm always writing. I have lots of pads, always documenting things because seeing is believing, and if it's not documented, it never happened, right? So always writing down data, always writing down what's transpiring, because that's important. You have to document everything, and if you don't, you just forget, and what happens? Forget about it. You'll
Well,
make the same mistake over
well, I'm
again,
assuming you
right?
use some sort of analytics software too, right? Like
Absolutely.
and then you get that data into like a sheet, and you can kind of analyze the
Yes,
charts and all that stuff.
absolutely. So yeah. So
Okay.
uh, I have
7 screens right here, and I have tons of tabs, but I have a lot of probably have like 20 different spreadsheets open, and so always looking at spreadsheets, always collecting data, just to document things, just to see where we are. So we could just like KPIs. We want to study or this, we want to study that, see what we're KPIs, key product indicators. You want to study these things um, because they will show you where you're making mistakes and where you're actually making growth.
Yep.
And that's why
Keep
it's
keep
called.
key performance indicators just for the
okay,
audience.
key performance. Yes,
KPIs. I do a lot of like daily active usage, monthly active usage as well. I like to know like which users are using the app more often than most, because that's what
yeah,
investors want to know. Investors want to know how many people are using your app every day, how many came back a month later and use it again. I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of that as well. Let's talk. One last thing before we go is the team that you put together to help you do all of this, right?
yes, yes.
How have you helped them be aligned with your goals and been able to kind of all have the same vision?
You have to be a great leader.
You have to believe in your people. I'm not a micromanager. I like Richard Branson says, people are like flowers. You water them, they will grow. Right? We're primates. We're human beings. We want to deal with people that we want to work with, and you just have to help people grow. I try to do that as much as possible, and I what can I say? I'm just trying to be myself and help them grow, teach them. Uh, people are not just workers. People are people working on your team. They're human beings, and I just want to be myself
Yeah, man.
and just
I totally get it. It's authenticity and being, real and helping your team be the best version of themselves, but also letting them have freedom to, show you how they excel in their jobs. So let's get you a pitch here and tell everybody what Kidmoto does and where they can find it.
Oh, forget about it. Okay, Kidmoto is a mobile app that connects passengers seeking child car seats to drivers that provide pre-installed child car seats. And we operate in 52 cities across America. And we say ditch the car seats
when flying with a baby because it sucks traveling with a child car seat. And Kidmoto drivers provide the car seats taken to the airport and from the airport, so you don't have to travel with a child car seat.
That's awesome. So it reminds me of the beach, the beach chairs that you would go to the beach and then you would go to this app and then they would send the beach chairs to with the towels and the umbrellas and everything. And then when you leave, they take all the stuff with them and you don't have to bring
Forget
anything.
about it.
So that's a really cool model. So, I mean, it exists out in the world. You just kind of took it and put it into the child seat. I love it, man. Kidmototaxi.com, guys. If you need to use this, kidmototaxi.com. Nelson, thanks again. This was awesome. Hope you guys learned something and we'll see you guys in the next episode.